having to steer as close as we can to October for the spooky month. So, as the last member of Nature's Wrath, of course, I had to pick a villain, not just a normal villain, but a cursed spirit, a demonic-looking being. Though he's not he's not a very evil guy. This is from Jujutsu Kaisen. His name's Hanami. He is pretty much an embodiment of, like the feelings of nature. He's just a big, upset tree boy. He's not happy about humans and the way that humans have pretty much dealt with nature in the world. And he wanted to, his whole reason to help eradicate humanity is so he can help fix the environment and the world. He's pretty much a big personified aspect of just nature environmentalism, and I do really like the character. And the fact is that we got actually some pretty good growth from, and not, tree pun intended, in the first real bout that he got. We didn't really have a lot about him early on. We know he showed up to save Jogo after Jogo's dumbass went and tried to fight Satoru, got his head ripped off. And we had Hanami go and distract him and then grab the head and run off with it. Now Jogo's back, he's slowly recovering. But Hanami, he just kind of busts in during the Tokyo versus Kyoto battle. And he's just ready to wreak havoc. Now the character, besides his personality, just looking at him, he's got an interesting design. He's got this, if you just looked at, I guess, the bottom half, he's just some dude with pants. But he's got this very odd marked upper body. He's a little bit of a weird kind of pale color with tannish markings. He doesn't have eyes. He's got these cool tree branches coming out of them. He's got one black arm with white fingers. He's got a white arm with black fingers. And he's got a very bulbous upper body. He's also got that big flower bud on his left shoulder, which it was saddening that, he was really hyped, so I can't really complain that they didn't get to see the attack built up from that, because when he was getting ready to use it, he was getting ready to use his trump card. He wasn't only going to use this apparent what looked like some big beam attack out of that flower. I guess he can store energy in there and then unleash it once the flower blooms rather. And he's not only going to do that, but he's going to unleash his area expansion, probably to lock down the enemies and hold them in place so he can, use this big trump card attack. Double trump card in order to take out the main character and Toto. But unfortunately for him, that's when Satoru showed up and was just kind of dealt with him real fast. He had to deal with the Paragon character, and even though he's a special grade, the special grades from Mahito's crew, including Hanami, they have a lot of raw potential. I mean, they're definitely powerful, or most certainly powerful from what we've seen, but as it is, it looks like they're still growing a lot. Now, Hanami, when I talked about his, the amount he got, because he was only there for 7-8 chapters, I want to say, just kind of thinking back, but the dude just fought multiple groups the whole time, and it wasn't just him throwing punches. He had all these different attacks. He could make these orbs of wood that would shoot out spikes. He had these little plant saplings that dig into you, and if you try to use any of your energy in order to use an attack or anything with it, it would grow, dig deeper in your body, and he could make these big root spikes. I mean, the way that he first shows up to a lot of the characters while Megumi is fighting is he has this wood tidal wave. And can actually manipulate the wood and then just dissipate it instantly. You just make it stop being there. And, mess with people and their footing, as well as trick them out for attacks. This panel right here is probably my favorite as attacks, just because it looks cool. I love the idea of it because he sends out these little sharp toothed spike ball Pac-Man looking things, and if you use energy to block it, because they use curse energy in the series, the saplings will pretty much they'll feed on that and they'll do more damage. I really like a lot of his dynamics. He's got a lot of moves and a lot of attacks that feel like you're playing a video game, like a boss fight. It's much more of the ways that you can kind of look and you can get a pretty good feel of what exactly moves he's got. He doesn't seem to have any complicated broken hacks. The only one really you can kind of relate is the saplings. You're going to get hit by him if you're within range, and it's better to take the kind of like base damage without blocking than trying to put up your energy and making it far worse than what actually was necessary. And when I say that he got messed up by Satoru, I really mean he got messed up. Like, the dude's like, I think it was like his left side was completely like torn apart, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, it's missing. It looks like it was just beaten to hell. Like, there was chunks gone. I think his entire left arm was just torn off, and like you could see like his ribs sticking out. He was not in a good place. Like, he was absolutely not in a good place. He was barely alive. He seemed to be even kind of like barely holding on as a cursed spirit who's, he's made of cursed energy. And clearly, as long as they can, even with the head cut off, I mean, they'll just regrow. But I did like the amount that we got his growth as a character, because while fighting, he starts out just as this, personification seemingly of like the anger of nature. He's mad that the way that humans have treated the environment. And he says, like, he knows there are good humans that are nice to the environment, that are people that care about it, but their level of destruction is like heavily outweighs their care. And he's like, it'd just be easier to destroy it. But while he's doing all the fighting and stuff, like, he talks to Mahito, because he's having a flashback. He's like, what, why do you like to fight? What's really the point? Like, if there's no, if you're not fighting for a cause. And he's like, well, you could fight for a cause. It depends on what the cause is, but you can still find joy in it. And he was actually starting to gain like genuine positive emotions while fighting these guys. He was very happy. He was getting, the thrill of battle. He was excited. He was getting lost in things. So the character himself, like, he, even in the first kind of like bit he was in, and it wasn't even like a majority of that arc, here he is getting nice growth, nice development, nice progression of who he is. And it also gives like a sense for these very non-human characters in order to get some human emotion to him. I mean, look at this beautiful man in the trees. He's just such a happy guy now. He's a little more cheerful. They're probably hanging out on the beach right now. I'm hoping he's fully recovered, because like, he wasn't doing too good. Again, we know if you've read the series that he could definitely heal. He's even got a pseudo healer in the group with Mahito, but he was in such a torn up spot. I very much worried about him. Is like, one of the dudes was just going to put him out of his misery at one point. They're like, no, we can't do that. Don't kill him. Then I'm going to have to kill you. But we'll see more of him. I am excited. I'm wondering about the plant on his shoulder, like the flower bud, because if it's stored up energy, I wonder if he has to regather it all in order to use it again. Because I assumed it was big energy stockpile trump card. His area expansion, though, he should still have as long as he lives fully and comes and recovers, because that is more of a skill that you have to unlock versus something like his shoulder thing. It seems to be some form of power stockpile. Now, his area expansion is probably going to be really nice looking, because his attacks were actually pretty nice to look at. Even in this, it's a spooky little buds, but like the way that it looks like this almost... It's not... I always think corn stalk, because then I think of the little creatures as like little corns. Little corn bits, but I'm sure there's some Japanese plant that it's much more accurate to than corn. But as it is, Hanami, I really hope that you come back. It'll be a bit, because Jogo still hasn't really got to do anything since then, but his level of beating was, I think, way more severe. I mean, his was also with way less effort, but he just straight had his head torn off. Hanami like got messed up, but it wasn't nearly as like, I would say, embarrassing, because also Jogo got made fun of, he got demeaned, he got belittled by Satoru. It just looked bad for him. And at least Hanami got a long fight up until that point. He got a display of a lot of his characteristics, both as a character, his fighting style. I really liked when he took that like weird baggy portion off of his left arm, and here he has got this flower bud and this black arm to oppose his white arm. But anyway, Hanami, just do me a favor. Don't die. Heal up. Come back. He's actually one of my favorite characters in the series. I'd say definitely top 5. And it's a little hard because, I don't see him being as relevant for a while, because we're probably going to get much more Mahito, much more Ghetto. And there's still that other member of like their maiden crew, that the squid dude. I don't think he's really done anything yet. Jogo will probably want to get revenge before Hanami does, and Hanami doesn't seem like one of those, like, I need to go get revenge and redeem myself characters. He's probably going to want to heal up, maybe, like, find out some new things about him, maybe, you know, maybe, like, fight some more people, but this time without killing intent. Maybe he just wants to fight further for fun and find out who he is more. I mean, I do like that. I like the humanizing of some of these curses, because it opens up the possibility. Maybe, you know, I'd be fully willing for Hanami to switch sides. I doubt he will, because the curses are weird, and I don't think they're capable of really doing a lot with the humans unless being straight up manipulated. But who knows? I mean, these are different curses. These are humanoid ones that have physical forces, physical presence on top of everything else, but they're still made of cursed energy. But anyway, other than that, comment below. If you've read Jujutsu Kaisen, tell me what you think about the character. If you haven't read the series yet, does this character get you kind of like interested? Again, like, I really like the way that Akutami like designs a lot of the characters and the way that they fight. Just because it feels like you're playing like a video game. This is the character's move set. You know, it's much more about them like comboing together rather than, you know, melee with a couple attacks. It makes me feel kind of like that's what I like about Yami's character in Black Clover. Like, all of his spells are good, but they're not nearly as crazy as some of the other captains. But his are much more about how they like combo together, how he's able to, you know, mix and match them for you know, optimal usage while fighting an opponent. And Hanami seems like that too. I think he's got the biggest arsenal right now in the series. I think he's got the most moves, like the widest move set. I'm trying to think of some of the other characters, but I think the only one that would probably outclass him is like Satoru, because Satoru has a lot of like small powers. But anyway, yeah, comment below. Tell me what you think about the character. This was a little bit teetered away from the spooky month. I should have like tried to push more from our spooky days. I'm trying to fill up as many spooky categories right now as possible for Halloween, and then maybe take a break from some of these from a little bit soon, just to kind of let some chapters stockpile up. Maybe open some more stuff about characters, because a couple characters I really want to talk about, but they don't have enough of content to really go over right now. But anyway, other than that, really appreciate thumbs up the video, friend the like button, and subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.